going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 19 of podcast. Going to be joined today by Troy Alexander and Drew Burtner of SPI Logistics. Just before we hop into today's show, we got to get through the EF routing top hauls of the week. We're going to start off with dry van freight out of California to California, hitting close to $3 a mile. Atlanta to Chicago coming in around $2 a mile, which is pretty hot for that lane historically. For the reefer freight, we got the South working pretty well. Also in Indiana to PA. For flatbed, again, the South is on fire. That's kind of how it's been for flatbed freight, hitting close to 3.6 a mile on the top end. Getting into the best loops for dry van, I'm going to start out in Houston to Kentucky, Kentucky to Oklahoma. Oklahoma over to Texas and stay in Houston. So again, the South doing some work. That loop puts you in between 2 and 2.5 a mile on the entire week. That's a weekly loop. Reefer freight, we got out of Atlanta to Miami, Miami to Chicago, Chicago to Dallas, and finish that off to Atlanta. Hitting anywhere between 2.1 to 2.4 on that loop. Finishing it off with the flatbed freight. Like I said, the South is doing well. There is a lot of New Jersey freight, New York freight in the East Coast, but I mean, that's averaging out between 2.1 and 2.7, which is pretty accurate. Let's get into today's show. What's going on, Lev? We got Troy coming in. And we got Drew to finish it off. Going to be a 4-person show today.
How's it going?
How's everybody doing? How's everybody's day?
Man, well, for Wednesday, I guess not too bad.
Yeah, happy Juneteenth to everybody out there.
That too.
Also, happy Euro soccer. I had to put on the shirt for soccer because that's all I've been watching. It's luckily during work for me. So
Troy, you still back in stateside, or you back over there right now?
No, I'm over here, man. I'm chilling out here. I'm happy to have you back. You were our first guest ever on the show. You kind of launched the podcast with me. And, there's been a lot of changes to the show since you were last on, but I figured there's a lot of new things to talk about, a new podcast structure to bring you through. And Drew, happy to see you this time. I think you were supposed to join us last time as well. Couldn't make it, but here we are.
Yeah, I don't remember what happened. I think I was visiting a customer or something, or probably playing golf, actually.
Freight got in the way, but I'm glad you made it this time. So, let's get into a quick elevator pitch from you, Troy, about how you got into logistics, since it was covered on the last episode where people can watch it. And then we'll hit up Drew to see how he got into logistics, since I haven't heard that one yet.
Sure, not a problem. No, just since it's been covered already one time, real quick, nutshell version is that I was on the shipper receiver side, dealing with inbound, outbound, loading trucks, managing facilities for years. And then that grew into testing the water to go get my CDL, potentially be driving. It was like a day out from actually taking the test, but all the training was there. So, vehicle inspection and, all that stuff. And then the next logical step was just to get on this side, and having that understanding just puts you in a better position to be the middleman as a broker.
Yeah. That's good. You gotta, be in different parts of the industry to really understand them. Drew, how did you get into logistics?
Man, I fell in backwards. I had a high school buddy call me up one day. I was waiting tables at a steakhouse, and he's like, "I got it." We had always talked about starting a business together, and I was like, "What is it?" He told me it was a freight brokerage business, and I was like, I know nothing about it. He's like, don't worry. I'm working for a big brokerage. Starts with a T, ends with an L. And he got fired. And he had all these customers, and he's like, I need you, but I'll teach you the business. So
okay, so you didn't actually work there. It's not one of those stories.
No. I was doing. Okay. I had no idea what I was doing. He started me out in drayage. And I was like, per diem charges, demurrage, wasn't rail building, containers. Like I had no idea. And he was in Chicago running around. He wanted
You
me to
gotta
be his
fix
little
your audio. I don't
dispatching
know what's
bitch.
wrong with it. It was good in the pre-show, but now we're getting like a bunch of feedback. I'm not sure how we resolve that now. Am I the only one hearing that? Maybe like Lev, are you hearing that?
I hear it. Yeah,
I hear it in my ear.
Uh-huh. I mean, it was good backstage. It's weird that it's just happening like that now. I mean, what do we do? Anybody? We have somebody watching.
go to a different
Keep
room.
going. We'll see if I fix it.
By chance, I know that usually works.
Yeah.
Or if one of you mutes while the other guy is talking, I think that works as well.
Yeah. We're getting some. It's awful. I mean, maybe we can have Drew go sit next to Troy, and you guys can.
Okay, you can go ahead. I muted.
Okay. Is it better?
Not really. No.
No.
Wait, Troy, are you muted right now? Troy, did you mute your mic?
We can still hear you.
Yeah, but backstage it was good, which is weird. Like,
Right, I don't understand that either.
Troy, did you mute yourself?
Yeah.
No, I can hear you. How do you keep saying yeah if I can hear you? There's a button. Yeah, okay, now. There you go. All right, Drew, can you talk now?
Yeah.
Okay, there
Better?
we go. Problem solved. Okay, so Troy, you got to keep yourself muted when Drew is talking. There we go. Problem solved.
That's right. That's right.
Story.
Mute.
So you didn't work at TQL?
No, I didn't work at TQL. No. But the guy I started the business with originally did. And when he got fired, he brought his customers over to SPI and gave them to me, basically. And he was just, coaching me through everything because he was under a non-compete. And, he was working behind the scenes, but he eventually got popped and got sued by TQL anyway. But regardless, I was just like stumbling over myself and, eventually figured it out, hit it off with some big shippers.
In logistics was just to get a bunch of customers and start moving freely.
Oh yeah, I already had well, not me, right? Like my partner brought on his customers and they kind of became my customers because he couldn't have his name on anything, right? So
no, yeah, of course. No, I mean that's a wild story though. I've never heard somebody with a logistics entry story that was like, I just got a bunch of freight to move. Usually it's like I started somewhere, got some training, like that's a pretty wild one. Like that's just you're just starting trial of fire basically.
Yeah, I've heard that before. I was on Trey Griggs' podcast, and we played golf before I was on his podcast, and he was like, "Yeah, how did you get into freight?" And I told him, he's like, "Bro, I gotta have you on the podcast like tomorrow."
Yeah,
I'm like, all right.
Yeah, it's wild. But I mean, what did you do from there? Like, I mean, after all of that.
So I mean, he, unfortunately, he had like substance abuse issues. So I had to kind of figure everything, like you said, trial by fire, right? So kind of got my butt kicked there for a while. And it's not rocket science, but there's definitely an art to it. And I was the one building the relationships with all these clients. And eventually like referrals got me into my customers now. So I actually don't work with any of the old clients. Maybe like one guy every once in a while hits me up. But everyone I work with now is organic and just like through referrals from me working with their clients. And I've actually fired most, like all except for one of his clients, because they were just not very good, man, to be honest with you. And yeah, it was crazy, like doing drayage, running flatbeds, running power onlys, chains, binders, and straps, all that good stuff. And that's like what we do now, as you know, Alex. You fell out on one of our chassis loads and then offered to pay us a tonneau. And I was like, who the fuck is this guy, man? Like, gotta
So
be
I can
friends with
actually
him.
talk. I can talk about this now since I'm no longer working there, and it's no longer going to affect any future business between us since I'm not a carrier. But so long story short, I took a load from Troy back in the day when I was a carrier, and my driver and I told Troy like the actual reason why I fell off the load because my driver, he's like my best driver when I used to work there. He never fell off, and he never caused me like problems. Only he was tough with the rates, you know. And he accepted the freight, and then I think the next day rolled around, and he's like, "Yo, I need more money, bro." And I told him, like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, we accepted the load. It's a guy that I know. Like, I'm not falling off of this load. He goes, "No, like, if you don't pay me more, I'm like not taking it." And I was like, I don't know what to do at that point. So I told Troy, I'm like, yo, honestly, like this guy's never done this to me before, but he's just demanding more money and like I can't do anything about it. And it was very early in the morning. I told Troy, I'll send you guys a tonneau if you want, because like that's the stupidest reason ever to fall off. Like that's like how you get do not used as a carrier. You know, it's just
I've
dumb.
never received money from a carrier in that sense, in that
I
way.
offered Troy. I told him I'll send you a tonneau right now if you guys like need it. Like I'm sorry, like because I told him the truth. I didn't lie to him. I told him, hey, like this driver just decided to screw me up, and like what am I supposed to do? It's his truck. He's the owner. What do you want me to do? You know, like I mean, there's nothing I could do about it. So
Well, and the funniest part about that, if I remember correctly, is like we had originally given you a rate and you were like, yeah, that should work. And then you went back and like, nah, he's not going to take it. So we gave you more money. We were like,
yeah,
hey, here's another
yeah.
200. And he was like, yeah, he'll take it now. And then
Yep.
a
And then he
third, he's
still
like,
fell
I
off.
want even more money. And we're like, dude, tell that guy to fucking.
Yeah. That guy turned out like he was
Drew,
my
was
best
this a
driver.
cost plus account or what?
Yeah. Yep.
But all right, man,
Yeah.
let's get into I'm gonna ask both of you guys this question. So maybe we'll start with Drew since Troy is muted, and then Troy will answer. What was your first logistics success, would you say, Drew? Your first moment of saying, like, oh, this is, I did something today. Something great,
Like load wise, customer wise.
Anything, man. Like, what was the first moment in logistics where you were just kind of like, oh, I'm good at this. I'm gonna stay in this kind of thing.
Sure. So as I mentioned, kind of trial by fire with the drayage. We got a pretty big customer referred to us, and it was kind of a seasonal thing, right? So you might have heard of Maersk, pretty big company.
Oh
They do.
no, that's a pretty small indie company that nobody's
Yeah,
heard of.
they do a lot of drayage for a lot of big, you know, big shippers. So we were helping them with their like Christmas freight, and dude threw me like 100 containers in a week. Some in Long Beach and some in Virginia. And I literally like stayed up for like 3 days straight, like booking carriers, like building relationships with drayage carriers, specifically in like the Chesapeake and Norfolk, Virginia area. And every week they would have like an internal meeting and kind of grade the carriers and the brokers, right? And we had like a 98% success rate, like pickup, delivery, empty return to the port rate. And the guy called me and was like, hey man, I just want to tell you, like, you did such an awesome job. Like everyone was like tooting your horn in this meeting, like 98%. Like we've never seen a broker do that ever. And we gave you like 4 times the containers we gave every other broker. So like, hey, just want to say thank you.
Yeah.
And that's when I was like, man, like that was awesome. Like that hell for 3 days. Like, I literally probably slept for like 4 hours in 3 days. Because it was just like nonstop phone calls from drayage carriers, like, yo, this container, like, there's no empties at the yard. It's like a drop pick situation.
Yeah, I was doing
like,
that to brokers too. I was calling them like, oh, there's no chassis here. I can't get into the port. They won't let me out of the port. Like I was one of those carriers.
Yeah, dude, it was pretty brutal. And like at the end of it, like Saturday rolls around and port's closed. So I'm just kind of like can breathe. And he had called me on like Friday and told me that like Friday afternoon. And they were in California. I'm in Arizona. And I was just like, man, like fuck
Yeah,
yeah,
you're not
went and like had a fat drink, and I was like, what a awesome freaking week it was. And then obviously like the money, we weren't making like crazy money per load, but 100 loads, and I was just like, wow, like
Yeah, you're not
100
gonna not
100,
get paid
like all
on
right, cool,
100 loads.
right.
What
Even if
percent
you're
of your
Right.
business currently is drayage? Because it sounds like a true success story. Did you guys build on top of that?
You know what? That's a funny question. Drayage is like we have carriers in every port, rail city in all of North America, and we probably do like 5% drayage now.
Yeah,
So like it all, and it has.
I've accomplished everything I can do in drayage. I'm moving
Dude,
on.
it was so fucking miserable. I was like, this is like,
This is not for me,
well, but now like looking back on it, I'm like, okay, like we can do end to end. Like I got the ship, I got the air freight, I can do the dray, cross dock, transload, and trucking. So like, any shipper that's like, all right, like instead of dealing with 4 different entities, like this guy can do it all. That's kind of like what I'm looking
reefer
for.
freight for me. Like I stay like when I was a dispatcher, I hated reefer freight. It's just miserable. Like just finding like places to donate food and like I hated reefer freight.
Well, in the hours,
I
right?
want to talk about this for a
Nonstop.
second. Like what's going on with this comment? Like, are you like crop top? What is this? Like what's happening here?
Fucking shimmy, dude. She cropped me into a crop top. Or like
okay, so it wasn't a
Photoshop
real
me into a crop top.
Okay. No, I wanted to know.
I mean,
the
if you
story
want to
behind
see
that.
my fucking belly button, I'll show it to you, but it's not pretty.
No, that's that's like Lev's territory. I'm good there. But all right, man. Let's get into Troy, man. What was your first logistics success?
Dude, so the time that I realized that freight was in it for me, like that's where I'm going to be, was when I got into LinkedIn and I was able to troll all you motherfuckers out there. That's when it was like, this is what I need to do. That's what made my what it was is I've been in sales for quite a bit, and like it's just interactions, right? So like when you win, that's what does it, especially if you can get a win on like a one contact, right? Whether that's a cold call.
Well, what was your first moment, Meryl? Like, what was the moment where you were like, "Yo, like this is it for me. Like, I'm good at this," or I'm, what was the moment where you're like, "I'm gonna stay in freight. Like, it's not a job anymore. Now it's a career."
Oh, I don't think I really had that, right? Because
you didn't have like a singular moment.
Were you talking as far as like being a broker, or because like we talked about, I had a little bit of experience on I'm too old to be working a warehouse. Like that's just not a thing anymore.
Oh, you said this last time. I actually was editing the clip like a couple months ago, and I remember you saying, "There's no air conditioning. I'm too old." I'm like, bro, this guy's talking like he's 70 years old, bro.
Dude, that's a young
there's
man.
A dude, bro. There's like 62-year-old man jackhammering a whole house next to me every morning. Like, don't tell me you're too old, bro.
Hey, they don't make them like they used to anymore. I'm just saying. Look, I know my limits. I'm good. It's all right.
All right, so no success story
I'm not
for
quite
you.
a snowflake, but
you're just so good at the job. You're just always succeeding. It was natural. You didn't even think about it. Like, no story.
I'm not gonna take it that far, but
no, I put those words in your mouth. But okay, bro, you don't have a story. That's fine. You're good at it. You don't have to have a story. Don't worry about it. Let's flip it. We'll stay with you since Drew's muted now. What was your first? Okay, bro, you have to have a story for this one though. You can't get out of this one. What was your first logistics fail?
My first logistics fail. Oh man,
I can already see Drew thinking about his answer for when it says there. Like I just saw him. He's like thinking about it.
I was thinking about Troy's.
Well, there's a couple. Go back to the comment about
just pick one time you failed, bro, at this job miserably.
I lined up this carrier that he was supposed to be a specialist in power only. And I told him, I was like, dude, reach out to me. Like, I do power only. And this guy was like, that's all I do. Why haven't you told me this? And I was like, I did, like, a long time ago.
And then he booked one load and fell off of that load the next day.
And never did business with this guy again. It was crazy.
Yeah, and then that guy actually quit being a carrier because he sucked at it. Yeah, and he fucking moved on. I walked into that one. I won't even.
Now he's an influencer. So,
Oh,
so do I get two stories then, since that one was so good?
Yeah, you can tell one real story. You can also go fuck
Okay,
yourself.
one real
yeah.
story. Okay, so
Troy, are you gonna name names or at least MCs? Like,
oh man, I'd have to go into the
No,
banks.
no,
with that,
no,
Steve,
no,
because it was
don't
just
do
a
that,
one-time
please.
thing.
You'll
No,
walk
don't
me
do that.
crazy.
All right.
No, don't do that.
So
I still have a great relationship there, and that driver still works there. Please don't name any names. Bro. I mean, you could just use your skills of deduction and go and figure it out yourself.
So as far as epic fails, I was trying to build a relationship with a new customer, and you always want to tell a new customer, yes, we could do that, right? Because first of all, in my head, I can't. Like that's how I was trained by
Yeah,
Drew.
going
Like,
back to the
you're
fact
gonna
that
do
you
it all.
succeeded so many times, you don't even remember how many
Well,
successes.
no,
you had.
and especially with Drew, hey, drayage, I killed it. 100 containers in 20 minutes, and all this stuff, right? And 98 percentile rating and stuff, right? So, I'm told, hey, just we'll make it happen. Just go and do it, okay? So I did, and then like, holy cow, it was just crazy. Everything that could go wrong was going wrong. It's on the East Coast. I'm on West Coast time. So now I have to get up at ridiculous hours to hopefully be able to try and remedy the situation at hand. Drivers falling off, not finding any drivers. Capacity is just non-existent. And I promise, I was like, oh yeah, we got that. We have 10 trucks outside your facility every day. Not quite that bad, but along those lines. And yeah, it was quite the mess, and that was pretty bad. It was definitely a learning experience.
All right. Well, I mean, fuck. It's not the best story I've ever heard, but we'll move on. Drew.
Well, we've got some good stories, but those are the fails.
That story was mid, bro. But all right, Drew. What's
The
your
first
biggest
fail was better.
Nah, yeah.
But we
yeah,
can't
yeah.
name names.
Drew, what was your biggest fail? What do you have like an actual story, or are you just gonna be like, oh, I fucked up a little bit here? Like,
Well, my biggest, can you hear me? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. My biggest fail was like I'm basically the reason that my original partner in the business got caught by TQL. Um, so
this guy's I'm
one
keeping
of
the customers, bro. He just called TQL directly. Bro.
yeah, I called them and I was like, yo, no, that's not what happened. So they had it was a freight forwarder, and they're pretty big freight forwarder. They have a ton of containers. So I have two good stories actually. I'll make them fast. The first one was, this guy asked for a rate on a container. We gave him one, somewhere in middle America, and it had to be rail build and all this stuff, kind of what I was alluding to earlier. And I found the truck, sent out the DO, and dude ended up falling out. So I had to find another truck, like lickety split, and got this guy, but he wanted like $800 more than I had in the load. And I went back and forth with him, and he, wouldn't budge. He's like, nah, like I can do it, but like this is how much it's gonna cost you, like yes or no. And we're running out of time. Like the load's got to get picked up. We got to get the empty out, otherwise they're gonna start getting charged and like even more money. So I call the customer. Actually, I think I might have sent him an email. I don't remember. It doesn't really matter. And I was like, hey,
You probably sent him an email. You're like, hey, can I get $1,000 more, bro?
no, I straight up was like, yo, I have a truck. Like this would happen. Truck fell out. I have another truck, but it's going to be 800 more. And the guy lost his shit at me. He was like, you motherfucker, like this is the rate you said you could do it. You better get it done. Otherwise we're never doing business with you again, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, all right. I'm sorry. So I'm like trying to call my partner, and he would just go on like, week long freaking, I don't know what he's doing, like benders, and just be non-existent, never answer his phone. So I couldn't get a hold of him to figure out what to do. And I just ended up eating the 800, paid the guy what he wanted. And then on top of that, like he wanted me to rail bill it. I didn't know how to rail bill, and I was like, dude, like, what the fuck? So he gets to the rail with the load, can't return it. Then he's like trying to charge me more to take it back to his yard and whatever. And I just told him like, yeah, fucking do it. So he brought it back to the yard, like rail billed it himself, brought it back the next day, got it on the train, and I thought all was, and then I was like, dude, I can't, like, you totally, you're trying to freaking extort me for like more money. And he's like, oh, fuck you. Like, so I ended up paying the guy like $1,000 over what I had. And, everything's fine at this point. My buddy calls me back and he's like, hey, what's going on? And I'm like, dude, what's going on? Like, the end of the world with this containers. What's going on, you motherfucker? Like, and I tell him the whole story.
$1,200 a day, bro. Like putting it in his face.
Dude, I tell him the whole story, and he's like, "Why didn't you just give him the load back? Like, you shouldn't have lost us $1,000, you idiot." He's like, "You should have just canceled the load on the guy and made it his problem." And I was like, "Well, like, I don't want to lose the customer." He's like, "Fuck that guy, like, whatever, right?" And then that guy ends up sending an email to TQL, like, even though I got the load on the train, everything was all good. He ends up sending an email to TQL and like screenshotting like all of my partners' emails to him and like, yo, this dude's still working in freight, and like cost him 30 grand, cost us $1,000 like out of our pocket. And yeah, it was pretty shitty.
You were just screwed no matter what you did. Like, you ate the cost and the guy still got ratted out. And like, if you gave it back to him, he would have got insta ratted out. So I was just like, I mean, in the end, you should have just given him the load back. If you think about
100%. Like, I really I want to freaking call that guy. Like, if I cared, like, it wasn't me that was getting in trouble, but like, if I was my partner and I told him this and like he didn't do it, I'm like, dude, you should call that guy and rip him a new one, man. Like, that is so. It's just like.
Yeah, that's a fucked up story, actually. Like,
it's really messed up, right?
Like, you ate
hindsight's 2020. You were trying to do the right thing,
Yeah, but like, they ate the cost, and the guy still ratted the other guy out for what reason? Like, the load got moved and shit. Like, I don't understand. Yeah, people.
Right.
Yeah, that's too much. But all right, guys, let's get
that stuff. That'll come back to you in a good way, some way.
Let's get into a quick 5-minute, kind of thing about what are you guys doing now. What makes your agency stand out? I mean, I've talked to Troy already on the first show. Like, Troy's a great guy. I know, like, your guys' philosophy over there is, to treat the carriers right. And a lot of people talk about it, but Troy is one of those guys who's like, actually, I mean, I've dealt with him as a carrier, and I completely bent him over, and he was like nice to me about it. So it's like, I have firsthand experience with your guys.
Maybe he liked it. You never know.
Yeah, I got firsthand experience with your agency being very professional and nice. And I mean, if you guys just want to go over like a quick thing, about what you guys are doing, what kind of freight you specialize in, just kind of a quick overview of the operation.
Yeah, I appreciate the kind words there too. I'll go real quick and then I'll let Troy talk about.
Yeah, I appreciate not getting a freight guard for a bad fall off too. So we're kind of even there. Like,
and you know what? Like that happens all the time, and we would much rather have a carrier be 100% honest with us and upfront than, someone telling
truck
us
broke
like,
down, bro. Sorry.
or like, dude, yeah, oh, flat tire. Like, oh, really? I have you on tracking and you're at this shipper. Like, what are you talking about? Oh, yeah, and we're really actually stuck there. We're gonna be there in an hour. We're gonna be there in an hour. We're gonna be there in an hour. They close in 30 minutes. What are you talking about? You know what I mean? But yeah, we do a lot of open deck stuff. Flatbed, step deck, lowboy, RGN. Maxi, B train, that kind of stuff. And we focus on anything that really goes on that, but we do a lot of like highway steel right now. We move chassis on flatbeds. We move steel coils, solar panels. Like, solar panels, one of my big things right now. Trying to work with some of these companies that their loads are worth $200K. So dudes are charging them, $2,000-$3,000 margins. And like, I've talked to these brokers that are like, man, yeah, you need to get into green energy. We're making, $3,000 a load. We're doing 10 loads a week. I'm like, okay, like, I get it. It's going to be more expensive to move that kind of stuff. But at the same time, like, if your customer was to find out that you were charging them that much more, would they still be your customer? So, that's
I mean,
kind
but
of the thing. And like
there's
you said, you know,
people that just say like, yeah, like my customer doesn't care, and like I'm sure some customers actually don't care, but I mean, some probably
right,
do. So I mean, I don't know.
right.
It's a
I mean,
tricky
10 loads
situation.
a week, you know, 52 weeks in a year, you know, save you $1,000 a load. Like, come on, that's a fucking lot of money, man.
Yeah.
So yeah, that kind of stuff. And then let me just look at my board, see if there's anything crazy. Oh, I move a lot of weird stuff like yeah, commercial laundry equipment. Um, like seriously,
Not
dude,
even
like
that
these.
weird, bro. What, like a washing machine? That's like pretty normal,
Yeah,
bro.
yeah, dude, I pick up from you ever seen Breaking Bad?
Yeah, that's what I actually just thought about, like that machine in the thing.
Dude, we moved stuff for the actual laundromat that was in Breaking Bad.
Nice. That's actually okay. That's cool. I'll give you
That's
that. That
awesome.
is.
Yeah, yeah, man. Yeah, so stuff like that.
So open deck. I mean,
Yeah.
let's get into it. Let's hear from actually. I mean, I don't know which one of you guys is better to answer this question. Are you guys hiring? What are you guys looking for? I mean, just a quick, if anybody's watching this, I mean, you guys have any open positions? Or...
So hiring, I actually just hired my dad. And he was in the yeah, I know, right? He was in the steel industry for 35 years. He's got a lot of connections. He knows a lot about shipping already. So we're starting him off track and trace and dispatch.
No, fuck
And
away, bro. This guy said I'm starting my dad off in track and trace, dude. Give me him.
yeah, dude. Like I'm like, hey, look, all you gotta do is email these guys, say, did the load pick up? If they don't answer in 30 minutes, fucking start calling them, dude. And he's like, yeah, no, I get it. Like he
Yeah,
just,
that's got to be one of the funniest things I think I've ever heard ever on any podcast that I've done, bro.
Did he start on Father's Day or?
Hey, happy Father's Day, Dad. Here's a job in track and trace, bro.
Man.
Actually, he was supposed to start the day after Father's Day, but I got the dates mixed up, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not paying you till next week, man. I'm sorry.
What kind of benefits does he get over there?
What kind of benefits? He gets to stay at home and he doesn't have to work at the come and go gas station anymore. That's the benefit.
Yeah, fuck. All right, but are you guys hiring? Like, actually, if anybody's watching this or watches it back, are you guys actually hiring for any positions? Or...
Yeah, we're looking for sub agents. Anyone that has, been out of the game for a year and wants to freaking jump back in, that maybe has some clients. Yeah, we're always hiring for agents.
How big are you guys in terms of how many people are at the office or part of your agency?
65 agencies. My agency has 6 people, 7 people. So yeah, it's most of them just dispatchers, track and trace, that kind of stuff.
He was just getting fucking lit up in the fucking comments, dude.
Yeah, well,
But all right, boys. We got to keep
Haters
it
gonna hate.
here. I want to get into about 15 minutes, maybe 10 minutes on this topic, and I'm going to hand it off to Troy since he recommended this topic, and I'm going to let him start the conversation because I have no clue how to start it. The topic is co-brokering. So, Troy, what would you like to discuss? And be careful how you answer this because it's a very touchy topic. So
it is. It really is. So it was an interesting post. Shimmy was actually the one that posted it. I think it was yesterday, and yeah, it started some touchy stuff. So the example that
let's just preface it. Like, do you agree or disagree with co-brokering? Just so we know where you think, like, where you stand.
I agree wholeheartedly with it.
Okay, all right. Continue with. I just wanted to know your stance on it, so I know while I'm listening to you what stance you're with.
So, and to make a clear delineation, there is a difference between co-brokering and double brokering, right? Most of it has to do with optics, right? If you have a double brokering issue, then there's a blind aspect to it, right? The customer isn't involved, the transparency isn't there. It's a complete handoff, pretty much. You know what I mean? That would be the double brokering aspect of it. The co-brokering, when done correctly, is above board. There's legitimate contracts that need to go back and forth. In the example that I used when there was friction about this on the post is that let's say that you have, and you're now on our side with the broker thing now. So let's say that you have a very high valued customer and they're seasonal, or they become seasonal. They come into a large volume of freight, and you're one of, let's say, 2 brokerages that handle this customer. If this amount of volume is beyond what you can provide and the other brokerage that they use can provide, but you want to take care of this high value customer, isn't there value in coming to somebody, let's say, because you and I have the relationship that we do in a co-broker agreement, because my capacity can help assist you to get your legs underneath you so that you can continue supplying high quality service to that customer until you get your capacity built up, and then you take right back over. But what
Troy,
ends up happening,
sorry to interrupt. What do you do
Sure.
when you want to, as a broker, you want to do that, right? Let's say you don't have capacity, you don't have that truck, you don't have that know-how,
Sure.
but and you want to do it, but your agreement with your customer precludes you from doing so.
Well, I mean, look, if that's what it is, then that's what it is. Me personally, in that situation, I would go to the customer and explain the value in that, because, like I said, using the example of Alex and I, if I don't have the capacity,
Stop using me as an example. I'm not for or against it, and I don't have a stance on it. I'm not publicly saying I agree or disagree with the fucking topic. Like,
all right,
use Lev as an example, like, because he's against it. So
no, I'm not. I think there's a difference between the two.
For sure.
So
I just wanted to go on record and say Hammer Logistics does not, like, I'm not a part of any of this conversation. I'm not taking a stance either, or I'm just here, bro. I'm just absorbing the information.
Well, look, and this was the biggest issue within that. The discussion is that with the co-brokering, if there's a bad element in it, it doesn't matter if you're following the rules and the laws and the letter of the land or anything else. If you have a bad element that's taking advantage of it, they can still be following the law technically and be a bad element, right? If you have 2 people that can work together and you value the customer and you want to get them to their goals, co-brokering is a viable option to make that happen. Because what happens is that if I'm working with another broker that's going to supplement my capacity, I have complete oversight on this and transparency with the customer. So I'm not just going to go and post it for a broker on the public boards. I'm going to go to one of my relationships that I know, first of all, has capacity. Second of all, has the service that my customer and I need. And then we go from there. Right.
That was actually an argument that Darren had made when we talked about this briefly about, like, on some podcast, and he was saying, like, if I were to ever co-broker freight, it would be with, like, somebody that I've met in real life that lives close to me. Like, he was like I'm not just gonna go. He's like, I would co-broker as somebody that I could, like, go punch in the face if they made a problem later.
No, I think Troy, I agree with you. I think there's a lot of value to it. Let's say you're in Arizona, but you get some project up in New Hampshire, very specialized project. I don't see anything wrong with teaming up with some local brokerage over there, local company that has those expertise to get it done. I think where it gets ugly is, as a brokerage, when you give a load to a carrier. Sorry, Alex, maybe Eastern European, maybe not. And then you find out that Alex Express is really Muhammad Express, and the driver's it's a whole different story, and you're tracking this thing and nothing's adding up. I think that's where a lot of the lack of transparency comes into it. Like, if Alex wanted to give his load to the other guy, okay, just kind of talk to me about it. But I think the lack of transparency is what scares a lot of people away.
But that's what I'm talking about, right? You don't just go into that blindly. You want to do that with a strong relationship that you already have. And, it's not something that, and it goes back to something Alex and I talked about before, which is that as a broker, I don't want to be 100% of a carrier's business, right? I want to help them reposition. I want to help them get to an area that they need to get to by helping me out in the process, right? And whether that's dedicated lanes to a certain extent or it's just a one-off, as a broker, that's on me to find those carriers, right? And it's the same. Not everything's going to line up all of the time, every time. And it's the same thing with the co-broker thing. Like, that shouldn't be a brokerage's only source of business, is to deal with other brokers and co-broker stuff, right? Because the more that you have hands in the pot, the smaller the margins for everybody, including the carrier.
Yeah, that's what
right?
I was. Okay, I'm glad you just said that, because carriers. So I've been a carrier, and I was never. I made a post about it today. Like, I wasn't one of those carriers that was like, oh, brokers are stealing my money. I was one of those carriers that was like, let me find brokers who pay me a lot of money and are like nice people, like. But long story short, that's the biggest argument owner ops and like carriers always say, like, oh, well, if there's co-brokering going on, so that means that two brokers are now stealing my money. And like, what do you guys think about that? Like,
I mean, I can see where that mentality comes from, but I think somebody said it best on I think on your post, which is that you have these drivers that are out on the road for hours at a time that get to ponder these
making these
conspiracy theories. Yeah, so I mean, that's
driving
really
through Nebraska for 9 hours, bro, just like thinking the worst.
Like, right. Because here's what it comes down to. If you do have a co-broker agreement, it's not like, and this is from experience, it's not like we're splitting the margin in half equally, because one broker is in charge of what's going on and doing all the legwork, and the other one is basically just a middleman again, acting as a broker between the customer and the optics of what's going on, right? So who's going to get the larger margin there? Right, you're taking what that original margin was for the broker, and you're taking the co-broker's cut out of that. So it's actually the brokers that are coming up short anytime that I've been involved in a co-broker agreement, because there isn't more money, particularly now with how the industry is for payment and stuff.
Yeah, there's not $1 million floating around anymore for everybody.
Right.
I mean,
but that being said, when I don't have to track, when I don't have to call, when I don't have to process paperwork aside from receive an email and send it to accounts payable, I'm fine with making less money because I'm doing less work.
So we're saying the Troy statement is co-brokering is cool if you co-broker with people that you know very well, and you're not just posting your freight on DAT and asking other brokers.
That might be an industry standard for some of those larger brokerages out there.
I mean, Drew, what do you think? You're obviously on the same opinion. I mean, is Troy speaking for both of you? Are you guys in agreement?
I mean, I definitely agree that it depends on who the co-broker agreement is with. SPI, is one of the owners is a very savvy lawyer. And he wrote our co-broker agreement. It's very clear cut. If we're giving you a load, you're not coming after our customer, and we're not coming after your truck, and vice versa, right? So, I think that part of it is the agreement. Another part is, does the customer know, and are they okay with, hey, like, I can't cover this load, but I've got a guy at another brokerage that can. Cool if I give it to him, like he's got a truck. We're not charging you anymore, but we need to get this moved for you. And this is the best and fastest way. Customer says yes. Where's the issue? Another thing is
I
that
think if you're being transparent with the customer in the situation, there is no issue. I think the issue comes when you start hiding it from the customer. That's when you start getting into gray areas and muddy waters. And I mean, that's where the situation gets a little murky. Troy, you're muted.
He said that's without a co-broker agreement.
Oh, yeah, you can hear it. Yeah, you can hear it.
Yeah, he's sitting like 8 feet away from me, dude.
I mean, Lev, I want to know from you about this. Like, Lev, what is your stance on this kind of sentence? Is it a tool? I mean, you're pretty aggressively kind of against the idea.
No, I'm definitely not aggressively.
Like, not aggressively.
I think it's like, it's like a gun. It depends how you use it. Whether you use it, in self-defense, or you're out there going crazy, right? Like it's
Okay. You reeled me back in there with that statement. I was like, wait a minute.
Well, what I mean, and you guys, I think, we're all mostly reasonable people, and it depends how you do it, right? Like how you set it up. What are like, you want transparency there, right? You want to know what's going on. You just don't want to broker your load to Joe Schmo. You want to make sure there's some certain safeguards, and I think that's the point. I think everyone's been in this game long enough to realize that everyone's kind of gotten screwed here and there. You want to be careful of the people that you do business with, whether it's a direct carrier or a co-broker or whoever you do business with, and definitely your client, right? It's important that your customer pays on time.
I think freight is just sort of the Wild West, and like I don't know, I've never run into an industry this massive with this much money floating around, with this many people involved, and there's not much like stopping much from happening. It's more like use your gut feeling and like make a handshake deal with somebody. And I mean, I don't know, it seems,
man, I just think we all need to be very, very careful with who we do business with. And I a few months ago met up with a carrier, and then I found out that you guys hear about this fraud, and I heard that they had a part of their company who was just opening up one day, taking a bunch of getting paid via ComCheck, and then closing down. And they would open up a week later on a different name. It blew my mind. I didn't obviously I've read about it. I didn't realize that it's so rampant, and I just think we all need to have safeguards and realize who we're doing business with.
Naturally segues us into another topic Troy has provided us with, and he has some type of freight fraud or stolen freight story, if I didn't read it wrong.
Yeah, no.
But Troy, you can, or Drew, one of you guys, maybe you're both involved in it.
Yeah. So just one more thing I want to say about the co-brokering that maybe people don't think about is like freight forwarders are brokers, right? So like, you're required, well, at least we are, to get like a co-brokering agreement with them. And that's like another way to consider co-brokering, right? Like they're getting air and ocean shipments, and like they need someone with trucks. So we help them out in that. But anyway, yes, the fraud thing. So and this is kind of Lev, like what you were just talking about. We had a dry van load, picks up California, and we come to find out we've got the driver on tracking, and it's like, all right, he's on his way to Chicago, like everything looks fine. And come to find out down the road that by calling the driver from like a unfamiliar number and getting him to pick up the phone and like just grilling him, we find out that he took the trailer, dropped it in somewhere in California, in San Bernardino. And I was like beside myself. I thought that there was a high probability that the freight got stolen, because like no one told us this from the company, from the carrier. They just did it without our approval, and it was extremely frustrating. So then of course the customer's like, can we get an update on this delivery? And I'm like, yes. So I'm now I'm contacting them because they had told me we put team drivers on, it's going to deliver on Friday, no problem. Okay, cool. So I put the new team drivers on tracking. They didn't accept. I called them. They didn't know anything about the load. I'm like, oh shit. So I, number one, called a gentleman named Scott Cornell, one of the top freight theft and fraud investigators in the country, works for Travelers Insurance. He referred me to a private investigator named Jeff Hall. Guy knows his stuff. Talked at length with them about it. They advised me on what to, how to move forward. And I also called a trucker that we had coming from Northern California to Southern California to pick up a load, passing right through San Bernardino on the way, stop at this yard that I had gotten the address for from the original driver, and like go into the yard and look for the trailer. And I told him, if it's there, freaking hook to it and go, buddy. I'm like, don't talk to anyone. He rolled in, these dudes jumped off the dock like had already stolen something, man. And I was really freaked out. So, all weekend going at these guys, calling them, emailing them. Finally, get this one guy on the phone somehow who on like Monday, he's like, yes, like, dude, the load's been delivered. And I'm like, okay. So then we get in touch with the receiver and we're like, has this been delivered? He's like, I haven't seen it, but it's supposed to be coming. Like, we're like, can you check? Checks, hasn't been delivered. We send him the bill of lading. I'm like 4 paragraphs into this email explaining what happened to like the customer and SPI. And like, I've been telling the customer the whole time, like, hey, like this guy, they're not answering. Like, I'm worried that they're late. Is it open Saturday? No response. So I'm like, it's going to have to be Monday morning then, because obviously they're not open Saturday. And, I'm just like about to press send on this email that's like, hey, I think your shit got stolen. And lo and behold, the receiver calls us and is like, hey, the truck just arrived. He's got all your stuff. And like, I'm like, send me a picture of the side of the truck. Send me a picture of the trailer. Take a picture of the driver. Ask him for his driver's license. Like,
arrest the driver, bro. Don't let him leave.
Yeah, I'm like, dude, like, so I matched up the videos that the driver that went to the yard for us took and sent me with the trailer, and we had originally dispatched it to one company, and they had like 2 power units and 2 trailers. And trailers matched the VIN numbers. And
yeah, like it looked legit. Like it looked like a proper.
Yeah, it looked legit, 100%. And then they ended up, when I talked to that Scott Cornell, he was like, yeah, dude, they're associated with some really bad actors, some guys that are like known thieves and fraudsters.
These guys are getting smarter, and I mean, like Lev was saying, like you gotta be really careful these days, because I mean, people with proper MCs, everything that looks legit, like it doesn't, like they're evolving. It's always gonna evolve. Crime will always evolve.
Right. Yeah.
But Lev's gotta go pretty soon, so let's jump into Lev's segment so he can wrap this up. It's a quiz show rapid fire, and I'm excited to do this. So we've set it up where both of you can be on there at once, and he'll just ask the question. You guys will I guess we'll go the mute thing. Okay, so we'll go Troy, Drew for Lev's questions, just so you guys know about the mute thing, But we'll get that started right now. Let's jump into it, Lev.
All right, guys. First off, a pleasure to have gotten to know you a little bit and fantastic. The next level here, we're going to play 2 games that are part of the segment called Rapid Fire. First one's called Either Or. You have 5 seconds to make your pick, and then we'll talk about the second game once we get there. So, Drew, if you want to take the next 3 or 4 seconds to make your last stretch here before we get started. So, ready?
Sure.
All right, hold on. We got Troy first. All right. Let's see here. All right. Inside sales or outside sales?
Beep, 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 beep. Oh, sorry. Inside sales.
Would you rather hang out with Hunter Biden or Donald Trump?
Donald Trump.
Chocolate or vanilla?
Chocolate.
Would you rather be a carrier rep or dispatcher?
Carrier rep.
Or TikTok?
What?
Okay,
TikTok?
wait a second. Since you're doing it one at a time, I'm gonna put it one at a time, and then you can just do Drew when Troy's done.
Sounds good.
Okay, yeah, let's do it that way.
Okay. What about TikTok now?
Instagram or TikTok?
Instagram.
Dunkin' Donuts or Starbucks?
Starbucks.
Blondes or brunettes?
Brunettes.
Tequila or whiskey?
Whiskey.
Whiskey or wine?
Whiskey.
Love it. Google Suites or Microsoft 365?
Microsoft 365.
Flying or driving?
Driving.
If you do fly, would you rather fly Spirit or Frontier?
Ugh, yuck. Frontier.
All right, now to normal airlines. United, American, or Delta?
Delta.
Comedy or horror?
Horror.
Work from home or hybrid or in office?
Hybrid.
Would you rather be trucking through a snowstorm or navigating rush hour in Chicago?
Snowstorm.
Unlimited pizza or unlimited tacos?
Pizza.
Night owl or early bird?
Night owl for sure.
Would you rather lose load to a competitor or miss a delivery window by many, many, many hours?
Lose it to the competitor. I'll get it back.
Love it. And so thank you for playing. Just one last question here. What is your best hangover recipe?
The hangover burger from Zips.
And what goes into it?
It's a hamburger with fried onions and a fried egg,
Gotcha.
chili, hot sauce.
And to soften the blow, any drinks with it?
Bloody Mary. Yeah.
Okay. Beautiful.
Got to get
All
all
right.
that back.
Well, thank you, Troy. That was fantastic. We got Mr. Drew up next. I'd love to hear some of these questions. Some may be the same, some may be a little different, but are you ready to go?
I'm ready.
All right. So, chocolate or vanilla?
Chocolate.
Baked potatoes or mashed potatoes?
Mashed potatoes.
Dat or truck
With
stop?
gravy.
Oh, excellent choice. Dat or truck
Depends
stop?
Depends on the mode, man.
Roll.
Uh,
You have money to buy one for your company. Which one do you go with?
that
Nintendo or PlayStation?
PlayStation.
Burger or hot dog?
Burger.
Freight waves or freight caviar?
Great caviar.
Budweiser or Miller Coors?
Miller Coors.
Trump.
Trump.
Paper logs or ELDs?
Paper logs.
All right. And are you a night owl or an early bird?
Night owl.
Last one here. Dry van, reefer, or flatbed?
Flatbed.
Excellent. Thank you for playing. That was excellent.
Thanks for having me.
What
Thank
is
you.
What is your best hangover recipe?
Hair of the dog for sure, but jumping in ice cold water, nothing will wake you up and straighten you out like that, man.
Excellent. All right, Mr. Alex, we're ready to go to game number 2. Troy, you ready?
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
The game is called First Thought. First thing that comes to your mind, spit it out within 5 seconds. Try to keep it short and sweet. But who's your favorite stand-up?
Oh, I don't know his name, but he's the midget guy. Funny, it's super funny. Not Kevin Hart.
Who do you think is the most strongest freight influencer?
Oh, Alex Bates for sure. It was a selfless plug.
Who's your best LinkedIn friend?
Oh, it's got to be Drew. He's sitting right across from me.
If you could, you remember Facebook had the poke feature. If LinkedIn had the poke feature, who would you be poking all day long?
Oh, that's a pretty good question. It's Stacy, because I hope she's watching.
Favorite salad dressing?
Italian.
Favorite athlete?
Ooh. Urlacher.
What comes to your mind when I say TONU?
Alex.
Favorite outsource company? Sorry, country. Favorite outsource country?
Oh, we talked about this. We don't do that.
If you did, though.
If we did.
Bro, it's got to be India if they did it, bro. What a stupid question.
They're cheap? I thought SPI was a premier leader in the transportation realm.
Yeah, that's why they don't outsource, bro.
I
You
think
might have
that's
a
why.
little bit of control freak.
Okay. Let's move on. Favorite city?
Phoenix.
When I say strong solo, what comes to your mind?
Sergey.
Favorite Thanksgiving dish
Turkey.
that you've ever worked with?
I didn't catch that one.
Worst carrier that you have ever worked with?
We can't say.
All right. Celebrity crush.
Oh, hopefully Angelina's watching this.
Favorite historical figure.
Reagan?
One more time.
Reagan? Ronald Reagan?
Okay, perfect. Drink of choice.
Moscow Mule.
You can. Moscow Mule. What kind of vodka?
Doesn't matter.
Okay.
Tito's. We'll go Tito's.
Got it. Favorite video game.
Right now I'm stuck on Horizon.
Okay. Taylor Swift.
Super Bowl win.
Okay. And tell us your favorite joke.
It strikes us as funny that there's 4 billion women on the earth, but it's still not clean. He and me.
Love it. Love it. All right. Troy, thank you so much. Thanks for playing.
Absolutely.
A pleasure. Let's bring on Drew. All right, you ready? You weren't listening in, were you?
No, I took my earphone out. I was playing by the rules.
Right. All right. Who is the best freight influencer out there in this day and age?
Chris Jolly.
All right. Favorite salad dressing?
Caesar.
Favorite color?
Black.
Non-competes?
Get rid of them.
TQL?
Fuck them.
Celebrity crush?
Sydney Sweeney.
Best TMS?
Salesforce. Ravanova.
Love?
Love? Sure. Yeah.
What comes to your mind when I say love?
My wife. My family.
Fine.
This guy said, "Sure, yeah, bro." Like,
I'm up for it. Just, bring her in. Favorite historical figure?
Man. Abe Lincoln, man.
Favorite artist? Could be a musical artist.
Martin Garrix.
Okay. Favorite athlete?
Tiger Woods.
Landstar?
Brutal. Stop calling me.
Favorite cereal?
Lucky Charms.
Drink of choice?
Tequila Rocks.
And for a minute, you would pretend that you were not married, but you had a love of your life and you were going to throw a freight wedding. What would it look like?
A great wedding. Oh, we do it at what's the big truck stop in Texas that's opening here? Buc-ee's. We do it at Buc-ee's. Whatever. We do it at Buc-ee's anyway.
You at Buc-ee's. That's it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And what's the worst complaint that you've ever heard in your life, your work life? The worst complaint?
Costs too much. Your rate's too high.
Got it. Okay. Well, Drew, it's been a pleasure. Thanks for coming on. It was
You don't want to hear my joke?
to get to know you. Yeah, I really do think so. I really do. I'm very honest. Alex knows me.
You don't want to hear my joke?
yeah. So we gotta coordinate. We gotta coordinate this better next time, Lev, because you stole my segment of what's your favorite joke, and Troy did tell like a really fucking funny joke. So like I mean, I've heard it before.
That was a really good joke.
Yeah, I've heard it before. I
love
just
it.
didn't expect that joke at that moment. It was great. But yeah, Drew, what is your favorite joke? Like,
What did Ja Rule say when he called 911? It's murder.
all Shit, yeah, that's good though. I haven't heard that one. Like, you guys both had jokes, so that's good. I mean, Lev, do you gotta go? Because I'll wrap it up with them if you got.
I gotta run, guys. It's been a pleasure getting to know you. I hope to see you
Yeah,
around.
nice to meet you too. Good getting to know you, brother.
Take care, guys.
Take it easy, bro. All right, guys. I will wrap it up with you guys. Oh nope, can't do that. I guess we're leaving it like this. Yes, this has been fun, man. And like normally we're trying to shorten the length of each show to keep it like, more digestible and easier. But when there's multiple guests, it's not easy to do that. And you guys are great. It's been like a blast with you guys. So you guys have like 10, 50 more minutes. I want to wrap it up with you guys according to the structure of the show.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, we're good. All right, cool. So we're getting into what is the craziest logistics story, not a good one or a bad one, just the craziest one. I mean, you guys told us the freight theft story, so I figure that's kind of crazy. But I guess we'll start with Drew. What's like a story that's like wild? Like it doesn't have to be good or bad. Like just something crazy to you.
Man, that's a tough one. Like crazy. I mean, that just sends my mind in like a bunch of different directions, right? Like I'm thinking.
I mean, like when I got asked
truckers.
this question, or like when somebody asked me what mine was, I was telling them about like a load of condoms that I took to Las Vegas. So like that kind of a style, of crazy.
Yeah. Okay. So I had a friend call me and ask me if we could move marijuana. He's like, yeah, I got like he's like, I got all these dispensaries that I work with.
Like above board weed,
weed?
not just like stuff like bags of weed in your trailer.
Right. And I couldn't figure it out at the time, but it pays great, and I'm like, yeah, I'm all in, man. And I haven't heard from him since, but that's one. And then I would say just like one of the other crazier stories that I had was I was doing a container for the Wonder Woman 2 movie back in the day. It was a 20-foot container. Had the carrier, days in advance, because they were like, you got to make sure you're like, this can't miss. You got to be on time. And sent him the rate confirmation, and like, got super busy. And I had accidentally sent him a rate, like copied a load that was like, it said, I changed it to 20 foot from 40 foot, but I had too much weight. He's like, this is oversized. We're going to need a triaxle. And was like sending me emails. And I talked to the guy on the phone, and I was like, bro, like if there's any problems at all, you need to call me. And he was like, okay. So, day comes around like 3 days later, and I had just been getting blown up with emails. And I guess they had emailed me and said, hey, like this says it's 20 and it's 40,000 pounds. Like we can't do that unless we have a triaxle. It's going to be more money. Can you confirm? And I missed the email. So day of, I called the guy. I'm like, hey, you're en route, right? Like they're ready for you. They got the fucking crane at the mall parking lot to put this 20-footer on your chassis. And he's like, no, dog, like you didn't answer my email. So like I got some other loads. And I was like, what? So I had, and like the guy was calling me like every hour, like, where's the truck? And I had to like, eat a bunch of money. Luckily, like I sent the exact story. I'm like, this is for the Wonder Woman 2 movie. Here's what happened. And there was like a drayage carrier, gracious enough to not like bend me over, and was like, hey, like we can do it, but we can't be there for like 4 hours. We've got 20s chassis, like we're on our way. So that was kind of crazy. And like once it got, the guy was like so nice to me, and once the load actually got dropped onto the chassis, I was like, hey man, like I'm so sorry, like I hope that you don't hold this against me and we can do business in the future. And he was like, yeah, fucking right, and hung up on me.
Yeah, I thought there was gonna be a happy ending for a second there. I thought I remembered what fucking industry we're in. So
yeah, exactly.
I mean, Troy, what about you, man? What's your wildest freight story, craziest?
Oh, I don't know about like super wild and crazy or anything, but one that we just had happen was we were moving a flatbed load, and going through regular motions. Everything was going good. It's not an extra special load, but it's not like super easy or whatever. And the very last turn that this guy makes into the depot, he ends up screwing off the water main, just like hits it, and just like, yeah, done deal. Fire hydrant gone. Everybody is just up in arms.
It's like doing that cartoon shit where it's like 10 feet in the air, like just
done deal. Like,
we have pictures of it.
and yeah, we've got pictures of it, and it's just one of those things that it's like, everybody like kind of.
You gotta send me the pictures so when I make this clip for tomorrow, I can put the pictures.
All right. You have to have the record screeching too as the needle, scratches across, because that happened too, like on all sides. Because we look bad because it's like, what kind of clown car driving dude did you send us with? Trust this load to, and the shipper's like, oh my god, like they're gonna come after us.
Did you guys get like emergency services, like the fire trucks? Fucking everybody started like coming there, like.
It's crazy. It was
yeah,
crazy.
that's a wild story, bro. Yeah, like I mean, usually you just get like a driver that like hits a fence post or something stupid like that, drives on some grass, bro. But I've never heard like took out a fire hydrant before. So.
Just crazy.
Yeah. All right, man. I want to get into it with you guys. Like I said, we got about 10 minutes left here. Some hobbies, sports. I mean, what are you guys doing? Like, what are you watching for sports? This is an obligated question. Are you guys watching the Euro soccer at all?
I am not right now. I'm the wife and the kid are gone, so like I am not a responsible adult right now, and I feel like soccer is for responsible adults. So I am totally irresponsible at this moment in time, and getting stuff done that like I've been putting off getting done. So I haven't yet.
Well, you got to watch, man. Serbia plays tomorrow. Tune in, bro. We got to watch that. I mean, Drew, you watching Euro soccer at all?
Yeah, catching as much as I can, man.
Yeah.
This morning, I told you, I was at the barber and dude had it on. And I was like, Croatia's losing. Couldn't believe it. Or I thought they lost because it was like, a bunch of replays and it was really just halftime. And I'm like, oh, what ended up? Did they tie it up or?
Yeah, it ended up being a tie game too. What is your favorite sport though? What sports do you watch?
Golf, man.
Golf. Fucking shit.
Big
I
golf
don't know. I can watch golf like
yeah.
highlights. I can't. How do you watch golf? Like you just like put it on the TV and wait 15 hours for it to finish. Like, I don't know.
No, they got it down to a science.
Golf is hard.
Like
golf is tough. It's a tough sport. It's a tough game, but watching it not so much.
Like,
what
the
about
more
you,
you play, the better you get. Like the more you get into it. Trust me.
Yeah, I mean, Troy, what about you? What's your favorite sport? What do you actually watch?
I'm all about football. I'm a football guy. American football.
Yeah, I figured American football, bro. I call it soccer. I don't call it football. Like I know I live in Europe, but
I was about to say you're like the only person in Europe that calls it soccer.
Oh, dude, I get absolutely flamed like everywhere I go. Like every place that I go, I'm like, hey, you want to watch soccer? Like it's football, bro. I'm like, yeah, like football is American football. Like that's football, bro. Like soccer is soccer. I can't do it.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. Love playing it, love watching it. So,
what's your favorite team?
My favorite team? There's the picture.
Yo, don't kill me. That's literally like from the cartoon, like when they hit the fire hydrant and it just doesn't stop, bro.
Yeah.
Favorite football team?
I've always been a Raiders fan. I did some growing up, younger life in California, Bay Area. So Raiders fan, even though they moved to Vegas.
Even though they moved to Vegas, yeah. I mean, I don't know, for whatever reason, the first Super Bowl I remember as a kid watching was the Steelers versus I don't know who, bro. This is like 2004 or something like that. And funny enough, my office is now located in Pittsburgh, and I'm learning like Pittsburgh slang. So it kind of worked out for me. That's my favorite team. But I don't watch much football. I just kind of watch the Super Bowl every year, bro. That's about it. Music though, Troy. What type of music you into?
I'm a metalhead.
Metal.
I listen to it all, but mostly.
Yeah, like metal. If you had to pick, if you like when you like your personal Spotify, it's just metal.
Yeah, mostly.
Yeah. What about you, Drew? What type of music? Oh yeah, you
EDM,
said this,
man.
Martin Garrix, bro. I remember that answer.
Yeah. I like Dave Matthews, probably my favorite band of all time. But electronic dance music is, I don't
I
know why I
feel
can't
like
get. I love bass,
I'm
man.
too young to know who Dave Matthews is, but I should probably I've heard the name, bro. Like I've heard the name, never heard the song.
You just got inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. You probably should know who he is.
Yeah, I probably should, to be honest. That's kind of fair. Yeah, it kind of screws up the flow of my show when we do his segment first, because a lot of these things come up in his segment, but gotta roll with it. But guys, we're wrapping it up here. We already did the favorite joke. We've gone over everything, so I think you guys might know what time it is by now. Thankfully, Troy, we didn't go through this with Troy on the first outing because the segment didn't exist. But it's going to be Chicken Wing Choices, sponsored by Fair Trade Workforce, who provides outsourced personal assistance and logistics personnel in the American markets. So give them a shout. Vince Gonzalez is the founder of that. But we're going to start with Troy, I guess. I mean, we'll just go from the bottom. Here we go, Troy. Drums or flats?
Drums.
Ranch or blue cheese?
Blue cheese.
Breaded or not breaded?
Non-breaded.
I don't know, bro. I don't know how anyone can take non-breaded wings, bro. I don't know. It's if you're gonna eat chicken wings, just do it right, man.
No, you gotta. There's a way to do it with baking powder, double.
Yeah, what is that? That's like what the Asian restaurants, how they tenderize. I've seen the YouTube short, bro. Like baking powder. That's how Asian restaurants tenderize their
right,
wings.
And you do that with some hot wings, and it's. Yeah.
All right. I don't know. Nope. Wrong answer. All right, Drew. Drew, you ready for this? The chicken wing choices, man.
I'm ready, brother. Yeah.
Drums or flats?
Flats.
Ranch or blue cheese?
Ranch.
That's fair. That one's fair. I don't really have an opinion on that one. That's just because blue cheese is kind of gross if you don't I love it, but I get why people don't like it. So that one's fine. Flats is unacceptable, though. I won't take that one back. So breaded or non-breaded?
Breaded.
Okay, so yeah, I mean that's fair. Yeah, the sauce
so
one.
You're
I can't
obviously breaded, blue cheese, and drums.
Well, on this bombshell of me not knowing who DMB is, and to be honest, if I had read this comment before you had told me the name, I wouldn't have even known what the hell that stood for. So
would have thought they spelled EDM backwards.
On that bombshell, I appreciate your guys' time. Thank you for coming by. It's been a fun show. And like I said, happy to meet you now, Drew and Troy. Like I said, thank you guys for coming on short notice too. I really appreciate that. Have a good rest of your night.
Great time.
Yeah, I'll keep in touch with you, Troy. I won't fall off your loads anymore since I'm a broker now. So maybe we'll do some co-brokering.
Funny that you were. Go ahead. Sorry.
Maybe we'll do some co-brokering, and I'll still fall off your freight.
I'm gonna send you the paperwork.
Yeah.
Oh man, short notice. I thought it was funny you were late because all your exes tells me you always come early, dude.
Oh yeah. I mean, that would have been funny if it wasn't the fact that you're the reason we started 20 minutes late. But
that's the reason. Yeah, that's the reason. Yeah. Well, you can ask my exes; they'll probably say the same thing, man.
Have a good rest of your night. I'll stay in touch with both of you.
All right, man. Hey, thanks for having us.
That wraps up episode 19 of podcast. Quick shout out to Truckerfy. If you're a carrier looking for drivers or you're a driver looking for a driving job, download the Truckerfy app in your favorite app store. Have a good night, everybody.